When it comes to developing our websites, there's a lot of little places that we can make mistakes, like missing greater than, missing quotes, that sort of stuff. And sometimes they're hard to catch. So if you're finding that your website doesn't look like what you want or isn't doing what you expect, it's usually a good idea to validate it. So what we can do is we can run our HTML and our CSS through what are called validation tools. And these tools are created by the W3 and other people that allow us to sort of test our website to see if there's something wrong with maybe we type something incorrectly or something like that. So as an example here, you can see here I have the word validation and then there's actually a paragraph down here. But if I go and look, the paragraph isn't showing up. And I actually have some CSS here. There's a background color of red that isn't working and my font family isn't working either. Now, right away, I notice that the coloring is off here for my HTML elements, and that's usually a good indication that there's something wrong in your HTML. The same thing with my CSS, like this is kind of black and the things are not coloring properly. So I want to validate it and it will help point out where my problems are. So I'm going to copy my HTML. I just selected all and copied it. Then I'm going to go and search for HTML validator. At the top, you'll see there's one here, the W3 markup validation. The URL is validator.w3.org. So once I get here, I'm going to press validate by direct input and paste my HTML in here. After that, I'll press check and it will run through my code and find any errors. Now I've got a big red bar right here. That means that I've got some errors. And it says I have 11 errors. The warnings aren't usually something that you need to deal with, but the 11 errors. So I'm going to scroll down my page here until I get to the errors. It's best when you're validating is always fix the first error and then revalidate, because one error can compound down your page and cause a whole bunch of other errors. Now, the error messages are kind of vague and difficult to understand sometimes. But really what you want to look at is it says there's something is wrong right here in this line of code. So you have to use your wits and try and figure out what's wrong in this line of code. And it says something to do with a greater than symbol. And so right here, if you look, there's a greater than symbol missing immediately after the E in title. So, I'm going to go back here and I'll put my greater than in there and save that, and there we go. So maybe I fixed one problem. So I'll copy my HTML, go back to the validator up to the top, delete everything in here, paste it again. And down here you see there's a new revalidate button. I'm going to press that. And look, now I only have 5 errors. Previously I had 11 and I fixed 1 and now I only have 5. So I'll keep scrolling down. This one says the element main must not appear inside of a header. Then this one says the end of file was reached. This one's talking about open elements. This is talking about an unclosed main. This one's talking about an unclosed header. But really here it says the element main must not appear inside of a header, which is weird because why would I do that? But if you look in my code here, I haven't actually closed my header. So if I close my header like that and try revalidating again, maybe my validation will work. So I'll paste it in here, revalidate, and there we go. I'm down to 3 errors now instead of 5. So I'll keep going, looking. What does it say? It says the end of file reached when inside an attribute value. So that sounds like maybe an attribute wasn't closed. And if you look right here, the quote is missing at the end of class. So there's another problem. I'll copy this again, revalidate, and see what I get. And there we go. So I know that I have a green bar now. My HTML is perfectly valid. I'll go refresh, and well, I can see the text, but my CSS still isn't working. So we're going to do the same thing with my CSS. I'm going to come in here, select all this, go and search for CSS validator like that. It's the top one here, the W3 validator. Same sort of idea. I go to by direct input, paste my code in here and press check. So here's some more errors. It says the property background color doesn't exist. Well, why doesn't background color exist? Oh, well, that's because I spelled it the Canadian way, so with a U. So I need to make sure to spell that American. So I'll change that to a get rid of the U, and I'll do another revalidation. Now, in the CSS validator, you actually have to go back and then repaste your code to validate again. So I'll press check. Now it says parse error, curly brace on line 4. Line 4. Oh, look, there's an extra curly brace. So I'll delete that, do another revalidation, check again. Okay, last error, line 7, font size attempt to find a semicolon before the property name. So font size, semicolon. Oh, at the end of that line, there's a semicolon missing. So I'll copy again, revalidate, see what happens. And I have green again. So I have no validations errors in my CSS, no validation errors in my HTML. If I refresh, there we go. It's now working. So the validators are kind of great tools to double check our work, to make sure that we haven't got any weird issues that are causing problems in our site. So always, always validate your websites, not only when you're having problems, but it's a good check to make sure that you're just doing things properly.